What happens when humans don't need to work? The 2026 Universal Basic Income Experiments. What if you woke up tomorrow and money was deposited into your bank account every month? No application, no job requirement, no conditions, just a simple message from the government. You exist, therefore you receive. This idea once sounded like science fiction, but in 2026, it's becoming reality. Across parts of Canada and Europe, governments are running large-scale experiments with something called Universal Basic Income, or UBI, a system where every citizen receives a guaranteed income. No matter what they do, supporters say this may be the only solution for a future where AI replaces millions of jobs. Critics warn it could destroy the very thing that built civilization, the motivation to work. So the real question is this: if humans no longer need to work to survive, what will we actually do with our lives? Chapter 1. The rise of the post-labor economy. For thousands of years, human society was built on a simple rule: if you don't work, you don't eat. This principle shaped cultures, religions, and economies across the world. Work wasn't just about survival. It became tied to identity, pride, and morality. But something unprecedented is happening. Artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming industries. AI can now write reports, analyze legal documents, generate art and music, diagnose diseases, drive vehicles, design software, and in many cases it does these tasks faster and cheaper than humans. According to several global economic studies, AI automation could impact hundreds of millions of jobs over the next 2 decades. This possibility has revived an old idea. What if society guaranteed basic survival income for everyone? Not welfare, not unemployment benefits, but a universal payment to all citizens, regardless of employment. Economists call this concept universal basic income, and now governments are testing it in the real world. Chapter 2. The experiments happening right now. Several countries have begun testing versions of UBI. In parts of Canada, pilot programs are exploring monthly payments that allow citizens to cover basic living expenses. Some European regions have conducted similar trials. Participants receive a fixed amount of money every month. No conditions, no job search requirements, no restrictions on how the money is used. The goal is simple: observe how people behave when financial survival is guaranteed. Do they stop working? Or do they pursue something more meaningful? Early results are fascinating. Many participants did not quit working entirely. Instead, they changed how they worked. Some started small businesses, some returned to school, some became caregivers for family members, and many pursued creative activities they had postponed for years. One participant in a European trial said something striking: "For the first time in my life, I had time to think about what I actually wanted to do." This is the promise of UBI, a society where people work because they want to, not because they must. But critics say this vision may be dangerously optimistic. Chapter 3. Safety net or incentive killer. Opponents of universal basic income raise a serious concern. If survival is guaranteed, what happens to human motivation? Work has historically driven innovation. People invented tools, machines, and businesses, largely because they needed income. Remove that pressure, critics argue, and society may lose its productive energy. They describe UBI as an incentive killer, a system that rewards existence rather than contribution. Supporters respond with a different perspective. They argue that the current economic model was built for a world where human labor was essential, but AI is changing that. In a future where machines perform most productive work, insisting that every human must have a job may become unrealistic. Instead, UBI could act as a safety net for a new type of economy, one often described as the post-labor economy, a world where survival is guaranteed and human effort shifts toward creativity, community, and exploration. But this raises a deeper question, not about economics, about human nature. Chapter 4. What humans do when they don't have to work. If money were no longer the main reason to work, what would people do? Would humanity become more creative or more passive? Psychologists studying UBI experiments have noticed something interesting. Humans rarely enjoy doing nothing forever. After an initial period of rest, many participants begin searching for purpose. They volunteer, they create art, they learn new skills, they start projects they once considered too risky. In other words, removing survival pressure doesn't eliminate activity. It often redirects it. Historically, many of humanity's greatest achievements came from people who had the freedom to explore ideas: scientists, inventors, artists, philosophers. UBI supporters argue that freeing millions from survival anxiety could unlock massive human creativity. But this effect is not guaranteed. Culture plays a major role. And that brings us to an interesting case. Japan, Chapter 5. How would Japan respond? Japan has long valued diligence and responsibility. Working hard is not just economic behavior. It is seen as a moral virtue. Even today, many Japanese workers continue contributing to society long after retirement age. In a culture like this, universal basic income could produce a different outcome than in other countries. Instead of abandoning work, people might redirect their energy toward community projects, craftsmanship, technology development, local revitalization, art and cultural preservation. In other words, UBI might not eliminate effort. It might change the reason for effort from survival to meaning. But this transformation would require a profound cultural shift, one where human worth is not measured solely by employment. And that may be the hardest transition of all. Chapter 6. The biggest question of the AI era. Universal basic income is not just an economic policy. It is a philosophical experiment. For thousands of years, humans have defined life around work. But AI is forcing society to ask a new question. If machines handle most production, what is the role of humans? Are we workers or creators? Are we employees or explorers of ideas? The answer will shape the future of civilization. UBI might become a temporary experiment, or it might become the foundation of a new economic system. Either way, one thing is clear. The world is entering a new chapter. Ending, the age of working to survive may slowly fade, and a new era may begin. An era where survival is guaranteed, and purpose must be chosen. But that choice will belong to us, not governments, not AI, us. So here's the question for you. If you received enough money to live every month, what would you spend your life doing? Tell us in the comments. And if you enjoy exploring the future of humanity and technology, subscribe to Hope Reactor, because the biggest changes in history are just getting started.